letting you know you're not alone.
If you struggle with blending, this video is for you. I have asked Debi Fremer, our DIY paint retailer in Spokane, Washington, to help me figure out what I've been doing wrong. She has some great tips and more info on her YouTube channel, so stay tuned. We had a class at my shop, and Dion and I were up on the stage, and we were both painting furniture. And Dion just whips hers out like she always does in 45 minutes. It takes me the whole 3 hours, and mine look like an accident on the side of the road. I'm painting and I'm thinking, there's 50 people in the audience and they're watching me. They're probably scratching their heads going, what the heck? Artists will tell you that furniture has to go through an ugly stage, and then it all of a sudden becomes pretty. Well, mine just never sometimes gets out of the ugly stage. And then I see this piece of furniture on Facebook, and it's from Debi Fremer of Elsie Lane Boutique, and it is all of the colors. It looks like an ocean scene that's stormy and colorful, and it's dark, but there's yellow and there's orange and there's magenta and there's purple. I asked her to give me some tips, because I'm thinking maybe I can take what Dion said, and I can take what Debi said, and there's a wisdom in a multitude of counselors.
One thing that I think that looks cool about this piece is that you can see the blue underneath everything. Like, no matter where you look, you're still seeing the blue under it because I covered the whole thing in the Hay Sailor.
This is a French Provençal nightstand that I found at my local consignment store. First thing that I wanted to do was give my piece a base coat of Hay Sailor. Nope, not Hay Sailor, Blue Iris. Debi used Hay Sailor, I'm using Blue Iris. It's similar, and I wanted it to show through all the other colors I plan to use, just like Debi pointed out.
In a bar that's hopping with all the false prophets surrounding me.
I wanted to create a smooth surface, so I alternated with the water bottle, spraying it onto the wood and dipping my brush in the paint, adding more water alternately so that I would get a nice, even, smooth coat. If you blend a dark blue with a medium blue and then a light blue, that's easier. But when you try and blend orange with navy blue or yellow with pink, it takes something that I haven't quite figured out yet.
Here it looks kind of like there's lightning striking through here. I think what kind of happens is when you spray it with the water and then you go back over it with a color, and what I do is just put a little tiny bit of paint on my brush, and I try to find the softest brush that I can, spray the piece, and then go back and forth. If it starts to get dry and you can tell if the paint brush is sort of dragging, you can spray a little bit more water on it or spray your brush. And then I go up and down and back and forth, up and down, back and forth, up and down, back and forth, until it starts to dry, and then it kind of will blend in better and it will show less brush strokes.
I was taken by the moon, looking down on everything I never knew.
I am using French millinery and mermaid tail, alternating with the water bottle and a very soft brush. I'm using as little paint as possible. The great thing about DIY paint is it's 5 times more pigmented than your average paint. So you can water it way down and you can use very little to get a wonderful blended look.
How we ever gonna be if you're always on the ground? Then you're never gonna see what falling feels like.
Here I'm moving my brush in one direction, trying to feather the two colors into each other. The reason why you want to use a minimal amount of paint is because it's easier to blend and minimize the brush strokes. If you have ever tried dry brushing before, you know that it takes just the tiniest amount of paint. And this is almost like a version of dry brushing, but you're using your water bottle to move the paint across the surface and soften the look.
orbiting the universe to where you are.
I am just working on my piece, and I am trying, and I am doing every method I know, and I've got the water bottle, and I've got the scraper, and I've got all the brushes, and it is just not working out, and it is looking bad. So the 3 hours were up, and mine still was in the ugly stage. I turned to everybody who came to the class. Well, I don't know what to do.
I think what happens is the paint will sort of drag a little bit when it's drying, like it'll drag up here, and so rather than spraying it with water, I will just leave it to dry and then just keep going back and forth on it, but not wet it back down. And I think that's what creates this, like these lines, is just doing it that way, not really getting it wet again.
I used Debi's method, moving my paint up and down and back and forth, starting with a wet brush and then continuing as the paint dried, turning into more of a dry brushing method. You can see that here. It did soften up the lines a lot and give a really unique look. Another great tip is that you can reactivate DIY paint with water. So you can let your piece completely dry, spray it again with water, go back and blend some more if you are not completely satisfied with your look. And the class was over and my piece looked bad. I just turned to everybody who was in the class and I said, well, I am gonna have Dion help me now. And she's gonna hopefully help me fix it and try and share with all of you what I did wrong. If you're like me and you struggle with blending, hopefully we can all learn something. Dion comes over and she magically just, all of a sudden all the colors just come together in like a symphony. And I'm standing there going, okay, can you please tell me what you did that I'm not doing so that maybe I could do it right next time? And she told me that I don't use enough water and I use too much paint.
Letting you know you're not alone. Letting you know you're not alone.
Keeping in mind Dion's tips and Debi's tips, I used very little paint for the sides of the dresser, letting the blue show through underneath and feathering the two colors together.
Wonder what we all are thinking.
I also used my water bottle and Debi's back and forth up and down method to soften the brush strokes.
But if it doesn't feel right,
I was a little bit nervous blending the side panels and the top because you have a big wide open space. But actually, I ended up being happier with the sides and the top than I was with the front. There's parts of it that I really like the top of it and the sides of it. I think that I did like a A-. The front of it is a B-. Hear in the comments from you guys that I'm hypercritical, that I should have more confidence in what I do, but this is just me. This is my personality. This is how I do it. I scrutinize everything.
how did I lose all my remnants of self-control?
I used a damp rag to rub back some of the paint on the hardware, and then I added golden ticket to enhance the look.
I'm chasing your shadows, and I know that you're up to no good. I'm too close.
You can reactivate DIY paint with a damp rag or water as long as you have not placed a sealer on it. I'm rubbing back some of the original gold trim to go with the hardware.
Looking at the damage, lying about what happened. Boy, you better shut your mouth.
The last step is to apply a sealer. I'm using clear wax, but my brush had some leftover white wax in it. So you can see here that it has a little bit of a white look. I'm applying it generously and then wiping back the excess.
You're wounded, and I know your reasons why. You're jaded. and I hated the madness in your mind.
When you first apply wax, it can look very intense and uneven. Allow the wax to dry overnight and it will even out.
You're telling me it's out, but you can only blame yourself. You're staring at the ashes, holding on to matches, wondering if you burn it down.
After your wax has completely dried, buff it to a buttery finish with a soft cloth.
I did start off painting the whole thing with the colors that Debi used. I was scared to use those colors. I practiced on this side and then I painted over it. If you really want to learn how to blend furniture, go check out Debi. Go check out her channel. She has 2 videos on blending. She's really good at it. Go subscribe to her, tell her that I sent you, and you can just let me know in the comments what you think.
What happened? Staring at the ashes, holding on to matches.
I'm just gonna be on a mission to figure out the blending. I'm just gonna keep trying it until I get it down, and maybe the next piece I'll be a little bit more, what's the word, risque. I'll take some more chances.
I'm spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change. Come on.
To find DIY paint in your area, to sell it in your store, to find Debi Frimmer's YouTube channel, or any of the products I used in this video, check out the links below. Thanks for watching.
I move the way I do. I just feel so good, good.